So here I am today talking about anti-aging, with my scruffy face and all. Well, Natalie, here's the information. In regards to anti-aging, it's important to be able to point out that you don't age, your cells duplicate poorly. What do I mean by that? Well, do you know that you get a brand new gastrointestinal tract every 9 months? That means that every one of the cells in your main GI tract actually dies off, lives, and goes through its in the cell cycle of life, and then dies and duplicates and makes a new one from its DNA. So you get a brand new one about every 9 months. You know, you get almost an entirely new body every 7 years. So your cells don't live as long as you do. So what do I mean by you don't age? You duplicate poorly, or your cells duplicate poorly. Well, let's take a look at the life of a cell. And during the life of a cell receives anywhere between 75 and 125,000 hits of free radicals to that cell. And many of those hits actually go right to the nucleus of the cell where the DNA is. Now remember, the DNA is the plan or the blueprint for creating a new cell at the end of that cell's life cycle. So the actual DNA gets damaged every single day. It's sort of like having a blueprint and erasing a little bit of it each day. You know, when you first had the blueprint, it was there. When the cell was first born, it was there. But these little erasure marks have been taken away each day. And by the time you make a copy of that cell to replace the old one because it's dying with a brand new one, it's different than the original cell was in the first place. It's sort of like over the one life to another of each of the cells, from a life to a new birth of another cell, through its life to a new birth of another cell. It's sort of like making a copy of a copy of a copy on a Xerox machine. And you know what? You end up with a Xerox, the original, looking very different than the copy of the copy of the copy. It sort of looks like it aged. So that's what I mean by you don't age, your cells duplicate poorly. Now, since we're dealing with free radical damage every single day, what's the way that we could reduce the aging of those cells over the copying process and over the lives of those cells? We can quench those free radicals. And Ultra Inflamex is amazing because it has a free radical quenching ability measured by ORAC value, and the ORAC value is over 17,000. That's amongst the highest in the entire industry. I don't know what else is in the marketplace that has a higher than 17,000 ORAC value per serving. So you're quenching free radicals left and right with this. So therefore, the aging process is slowed. And what we may call PMA, or premature aging, is greatly reduced. The second area in which individuals age, it's very interesting, is they age from the inside out. They age because they have themselves many times elevated blood sugar or blood sugar levels at certain times during the day and they're higher than they should be. Let's take a look at this. When you have yourself elevated blood sugar, what happens is the blood sugar reacts and bonds to the actual albumin in the blood, the protein in the blood. The blood sugar together with the albumin turns into something called advanced glycated end products. And the acronym for that is quite apropos. It's AGES, and certainly it ages you from the inside out. Those advanced glycated end products work to be able to really rip away at your internal workings of your body, your internal blood vessels, so on and so forth. They act as free radicals on the inside of your body. So excess of blood sugar forming AGES and free radicals breaking down your cell's DNA, so when you duplicate, it becomes older and older and older at each duplication, are the two main reasons for aging. And these are important factors. So what are you going to do? You use Ultra Inflamex in regards to the aging, and in addition to that, for the free radicals, and in addition to that, Ultra Inflamex is great because it has a relatively low glycemic index, and that can be a very, very important thing as it relates to dealing with the blood sugar aspects. So a breakfast with Ultra Glycemics is a great thing for anti-aging in both free radical damage as well as blood sugar balance. Make sure you eat your breakfast within 1 hour of waking up, because remember, when you find yourself in a situation where you eat past that 1 hour period, you may form something called gluconeogenesis, which is basically where your brain says, hey, feed me glucose, otherwise I'm going to work with your liver to break down your lean body mass to turn it into glucose, and therefore it forms more aging. Remember, one of the other factors or the key indicators as it relates to biological aging is the loss of lean body mass. So all these things tie in together. Ultra Inflamex is absolutely great for that. The next area I'd like you to be able to look into is the area of pH. pH is an important issue as it relates to aging and as it relates to enzyme function, hormones, and as it relates to cancer as well. I think pH is a really big issue and it's highly overlooked. Let me talk to you about it. If you were to measure pH by salivary pH, then you'll find very interesting things going on in regards to the bell curve activity of enzymes as related to being outside the pH of 6.75 to 7.25. Okay? In that range, it's a good alkaline range for individuals, and your enzymes work the best. Now, let's take a look at this whole enzyme concept. If you have yourself, everybody has themselves inactive enzymes in their body. They're known as APO enzymes, APO enzymes. And these APO enzymes get together with enzyme cofactors. They're things we call vitamins and minerals. And when APO enzymes meet with enzyme cofactors, then all of a sudden you have yourself an active enzyme complex, right? So that's what's happening. But did you know that if you have yourself a pH outside that range of 6.75 to 7.25 as measured by a salivary pH, that the effectiveness and the activity of that active enzyme complex is drastically reduced? All right? So we want to be in that range. We want to be in that alkaline range right there. So you want to be able to make sure that individuals are a bit more on the alkalizing side. Now, what does this have to do with vitamins and minerals? You know, you can actually make, since you can make your vitamin mineral therapies, and you can say this to the doctor, you can make your vitamin mineral therapies much more effective by alkalizing patients before they start taking their vitamin mineral therapies. Because once again, remember, APO enzymes, inactive enzymes, meeting with vitamin mineral therapies, those are those cofactors forming an active enzyme complex. And when you have an active enzyme complex that really works well under a good pH level, then the vitamins and minerals, these coenzymes, work extremely well and people feel the difference. Okay, so it's important. You want an active enzyme complex to work optimally. You want to make sure they're in a good pH state. There's a couple things you can do to help people with pH state. The first thing you can do with pH state is you can give them things like greens. Things like magnesium and calcium, or minerals like magnesium and calcium, are alkalizing minerals. They're also electrolytes as well. And the core molecule inside chlorophyll, the things that makes green leafy plants green, is magnesium. And that's why green leafy vegetables or green leafy vegetable juicing and things like that actually works to alkalize individuals, and greens products. So you want to be able to make sure you get proper magnesium in there, and you'll find that within greens products. So you can use something like our phytorganics, or you can go in the other direction and really approach them on a calcium and magnesium basis with a calcium magnesium formula. Something like, let's say, Calapatite or Calapatite with magnesium. Calmatrix actually is an amazing alkalizer as well. So whether it be Calmatrix, Calapatite Forte, Calapatite with magnesium, or phytorganics, these are great ways to be able to allow the practitioner to be able to make the other therapies with vitamin minerals work better because you're affecting enzymes. The next area that enzymes affect are hormones. It's a bit tighter pH than that pH I had mentioned, where is the optimal, but it's if you get people more alkaline, the hormones work better. Now, we're not just talking sex hormones here. We're talking about thyroid and many other hormones inside the body, including insulin, okay, which is a hormone. Even vitamin D is considered a prohormone. So all of these things tend to work better when a person is alkalized. So, you know, say to your doctor, if you're dealing with lots of patients with hormonal imbalance issues, let's alkalize them. Let's give them some phytorganics. Let's give them some Calmatrix. Whatever it takes, we want to alkalize them and make sure they have an alkaline diet as well. Now, what is non-alkaline out there, just to get an insight from it? Well, there are many things that are actually non-alkaline. You'll find out anything that makes you more acidic. Things like coffee tend to make you more acidic. Things like red meats tend to make you more acidic. Processed foods, lunch meat, things like that. They tend to make you more acidic, and sugars and many sweeteners will tend to make you more acidic. Crystalline fructose doesn't seem to do that, which is nice, and because that's one of the bases that we have within many of our medical foods. So these are the things you want to be able to stay away with from a diet. Take things like phytorganics, take things like Calmatrix, one of our other calcium supplements. That'd be great. Make those enzymes work better and make the hormones work better. Now, why is that important in regards to anti-aging? Because let me tell you something. If you got your hormones working well and you're a man approaching the ages of 45 into 50, I mean, they have this new concept called low T, low testosterone in many men. It's going to make them actually not feel as young anymore. And boy, many of these guys are taking testosterone treatments. Imagine if you could just make the testosterone they have work better. Alkalizing is great with women, making the estrogen they have work better. Alkalizing is great. So it's a great anti-aging approach. And of course, most of the studies out there that do comparisons of individuals' blood pH as well as salivary pH as it relates to cancer states, you find individuals tend to be less carcinogenic and forming less tumor states and angiogenesis when they are more alkaline. So these are really important factors. Acid-alkaline balance is important, and you want to really keep between that between the 6.75 and the 7.25 area for the optimal effect in enzymes, hormones, and reducing carcinogenic states. So that is as it relates to the actual aspect of anti-aging with pH. And you can measure with salivary pH sticks. I think we do have them available as well with Metagenics. I think we were giving them away at one point along with the Ultra Clear pH. The next area that you'd be taking a look at, which is really interesting, is when women do find themselves in the state in which they, around 51 is the average age, when they find themselves in a state where they're going through that state of menopause, or perimenopause, they start to get hot flashes. There's many emotional aspects to it, and one of the big issues that people have out there right now, and that was the big issue with the Premarin study, which is a horse urine derivative. Premarin worked really well to be able to help with those symptomologies. It was like a 75% reduction in symptomology for the average individual out there, which is a great reduction. Not black cohosh, but things like soy and many phytoestrogens, they tend to work about 45% of the reduction of frequency of hot flashes. So the difference between 45 and 75% is really big to the patients. So everybody's out there saying, "Oh, my natural product works." You know, son, it only works half as well as the hormone replacement therapies and even the bioidenticals. You know what I mean? So it's important to understand that people who want to feel younger don't want to go through this horrible hot flashing and feel emotionally drained. It makes them feel older. So simply taking the Estravera 1 tablet a day is great, because guess what? It is the only natural substance out there that works basically as well. Not 45% reduction as opposed to 75% reduction, which is totally different in regards to efficacy. But it works almost as well. It's a 73% reduction in the actual frequency, and it also works on the other emotional issues as well. So it's a 1 tablet a day approach, very high compliance, and really great for the patients as well. So those are the 3 main areas. The Ultra Inflamex, working with the free radical quenching and making sure your cells duplicate properly. Okay, so you don't get the copy of the copy of the copy effect. The Ultra Inflamex also with the blood sugar, which is great because it's low glycemic index. Sometimes people throw Insinase in there as well. That can be helpful. Or just use Ultramil Plus 360, because actually the hops have themselves a wonderful blood sugar balancing effect, and that's why it's a major ingredient within the Insinase product itself. Then going to acid-alkaline balance, working with individuals to make all of their hormones work better, make all of their enzymes in their body work better, reduce cancer risks. And then lastly, working with women in regards to hormone replacement therapy alternatives. Things like the Estravera work as well with none of the side effects and risk factors. Another area to look into is testosterone, but I'll get into more of that within the next video. Until then, have yourself a great day, and bye-bye.